nos puede ayudar a salir de esa situación. Así que la invitación mía es a leer, a educarnos. Síganos a nosotros, Kannabu provee información, hacemos mucho research, mucha investigación y queremos eso, queremos igualdad, queremos que la información esté allá afuera y que todos puedan hacer uso de esta hermosa y beneficiosa planta que es el cáñamo.
Welcome to the Miracle Plant Podcast, the show that inspires, promotes, and gives you a daily dose of inspiration from the people who have used cannabis to change their lives in extraordinary ways. Here's your host, Justin Benton.
Welcome back to the Miracle Plant Podcast, where we discuss this miracle plant with so many names and how it's helping people in so many extraordinary ways. Well, we have another brother on the path who's out there with this miracle plant, spreading the good word, teaching folks about how this miracle plant with so many names can help our bodies with our food as our medicine and help restore our health. And I want to welcome to the show, Jose Luis Allende. I'm going with the pronunciation. How'd I do there?
That was great, Justin.
All right. Welcome to the Miracle Plant Podcast, brother. How are you today?
Oh, thanks you for having me, man. I'm great. I'm doing good.
Awesome. Well, tell us about your journey in this miracle plant and what led you to it.
Well, it's a pretty large story. We had a great experience in family with her dad struggling with mental health issues. So we were constantly putting him to doctors, receiving prescriptions for pharmaceuticals so that he could overcome all these mental health problems. And we found that he developed certain tolerance over 6 months. Pills had to be changed because he developed tolerance for the pills. So, and this was a very difficult journey, and with a lot of side effects of all these pharmaceuticals. And at the same time, my brother and I, we were doing research on CBD, THC, and hemp. And it was just amazing, all the prohibitions and the bans on this plant, and how there was some research that showed that it has very good effects on people to calm them down. I mean, we did research on autism, on side effects, and we saw that this was a great opportunity for people to use it instead of using all these pharmaceuticals that had to be changed throughout the time. So, well, our dad passed away in 2016, and my brother and I decided to found Kannabu, and so we started on the safe things, so foods, nutritious. We know that hemp has all the 10 amino acids. It has omega-3, omega-6, omega-9, all the things you need to overcome depression. But the most amazing thing we found about hemp is that the plant can be used from the root to the leaves to the seeds. It's just amazing. So we started doing research on hempcrete, on fibers for textiles, and all the things you can get out of leaves, and how the amounts of THC and CBD were so low, I mean, below 0.3%. So it was harmless. It was really harmless. But still, the US had these huge bans on hemp. And, our region, South America, follows the trends that are happening on the US, Canada, France, Poland. So we found that all the good information about hemp was moving so slow. And the first thing we encountered was that every time you talked about hemp, people just went like, okay, marijuana. But no, it's not marijuana, it's cannabis. And it's a different type of cannabis that has no THC. It won't make you high. And it has lots of good properties and nutritious properties. So we are working on education on what is hemp. For now, we are providing the best thing about the nutritious things that hemp has. And we want to move on. We want to move on to textile, to hempcrete. And obviously, the use of THC and CBD with a prescription, because we know that not everybody reacts the same way when they use THC. We've seen panic attacks. We've seen people that just sleepy, but mostly people get very good advantages from the hemp. They get anxiety goes so low, they get focus, they can live a normal life. So we are very, very, very interested in doing research on all the effects of THC and CBD and provide and educate about all the good things of this wonderful plant, which is the hemp plant or the cannabis sativa.
Love it, love it, love it, man. Another brother on the mission to heal the world. Now, are you from Chile, or where are you from originally?
I was born and raised in Lima, Peru.
Peru. Mm-hmm.
But I've been living in Santiago, Chile for the last 16 years. So I have a family here. So I research here in Chile. And I understand very well the legislation in Chile, which is very different from Colombia, Uruguay, Paraguay, Brazil, Ecuador, and Peru. It's different. You know, Uruguay, Colombia, they say that the hemp plant has to have less than 1% of THC to be able to be exported. But for example, here in Chile, it has to be 0%. Peru has to be 0.03%. So it varies on legislations varies throughout the region. So we're moving on and trying to get standards. But what we are concerned of is the bans that are very, I want to say ridiculous, because there are lots of good things about the hemp. There are so much bad things about pharmaceuticals that are sold off the counter. So we want to work on that, you know?
Love it. Love it. Well, why don't you, so you can share this podcast with your friends and on your mission to heal the world, why don't you say all that in your native tongue? So let's go from the top where you were saying how you started your journey, and then you can roll into the different regulations, and so we can forward this on and be bilingual for today. What do you think about that?
Oh, awesome. So you want me to say it in Spanish?
Yeah, everything you just said. Yep. And let's go in your native tongue in Spanish, so you can forward this podcast on, so people who speak both English or Spanish, they can understand all the great things that you're having to say. And so will my audience, who, you know, may have a little that English isn't their first language. So I would love if you would do that for us, brother.
Okay, man. So hicimos estudios en autismo, hicimos estudios de los efectos secundarios que tienen los farmacéuticos y los psicotrópicos que se venden con una prescripción médica muy simple, y vimos que eran súper dañinos. Había las personas desarrollaban una tolerancia súper rápido, las pastillas tenían que ser cambiadas, habían inversiones de dinero súper altas, mientras que investigábamos la planta del cáñamo, de hemp, el cáñamo, investigamos que la planta tiene potenciales tremendos y toda la planta se puede utilizar, desde la raíz hasta las semillas se pueden utilizar, tienen propiedades fantásticas, tienen los 10 aminoácidos esenciales, tienen omega 3, omega 6, omega 9, que son fundamentales para combatir la depresión, tienen ácido linoleico, ácido linolénico, todas son propiedades impresionantes. Son una alternativa vegana para aquellos que no quieren consumir proteína animal, y nosotros queremos difundirlo y queremos que todo el mundo se entere, que todo el mundo lo pruebe, y tratar de educar, porque hay un tabú cuando se habla de cannabis o de cáñamo. Las autoridades, aquí estoy hablando de Chile, las autoridades dicen, marihuana, no, eso está prohibido, no se puede. Hay una pobreza y mucha ignorancia con respecto a lo que es el hemp. Y creo que tenemos que trabajar mucho para educar, para que se permita el cultivo del cáñamo, que podamos utilizar todos los beneficios que el cáñamo nos ofrece y liberarnos de estas prohibiciones que, no quiero ser injusto, pero en su mayoría vienen de los Estados Unidos. Japón comenzó un desarrollo importante del hemp, del cáñamo, y Estados Unidos se encargó de bloquearlo. Entonces, por ejemplo, Colombia tiene 6 tipos de licencia para para poner en el mercado el THC, el CBD, el hemp, tiene 6 tipos de licencias. O sea, es un avance salvaje, tremendo. Uruguay ha avanzado mucho. El uso recreacional del cannabis es transversal, enorme, difícil de medir, pero mucha gente consume el cannabis de manera recreacional, tiene plantas en casa, pero también yo creo que esto tiene que ser un poquito más, el Estado debe apoyar con leyes que nos permitan cultivar, cosechar, vender en el mercado interno, exportar y también importar. ¿Por qué no? Importar todos estos superfoods, los superalimentos, que nos permitan obtener todos los beneficios. Hoy día los temas de salud mental son gravísimos. La pandemia nos dejó en un estado de salud mental gravísimo y hemp nos puede ayudar a salir de esa situación. Así que la invitación mía es a leer, a educarnos. Síganos a nosotros, Kannabu provee información, hacemos mucho research, mucha investigación y queremos eso, queremos igualdad, queremos que la información esté allá afuera y que todos puedan hacer uso de esta hermosa y beneficiosa planta que es el cáñamo.
Awesome. Well, I think that's awesome that, because, I mean, obviously, if we're going to heal the world, and that's our mission, to reach 1 billion people around the world by 2025, about the power of this plant, about, help people take control of their health, we got to speak in different tongues. And we're here in Southern California, and it's definitely a very bilingual place. I'm so bilingual. I speak Spanglish fluently, but I know enough to be dangerous. I go to Mexico a lot, and I lived in the Dominican Republic for a little while. So then I really had to speak Spanish. But as you know, you really learn to speak a different language when you live in a place that's the first language that they speak. So I'm so blessed that you're able to join us and educate our audience in a couple of languages. So that's awesome, brother. So anything else that you want to leave our audience with? I know you've got a website. I know there are people that they can buy these hemp seed oils and tinctures and hemp seeds and all this wonderful, beautiful plant.
Yeah, man. So invite people to visit our website, to subscribe to our newsletter, and let's move on and provide and make education about hemp, make it massive, so that we can move on legislations, on good legislations.
Absolutely. Well, and yeah, if you ever need help with some international, we do a lot of international things, and there's some great lawyers like Bob Hoban and Patrick Goggin that work with international trade for cannabis and hemp. So you let me know. I'll hook you up with some great people that will help get this plant going, get exportation, exporting and importing going as best that it needs to be to get caught up. So, well, my man, awesome. It was a pleasure meeting you. Thanks for coming on and speaking in 2 languages. And that's great. And how's the weather down there in Chile right now?
Well, so we've been with 2 weeks, very high temperatures, 40 degrees Celsius. So lots of fire, but I hope this gets controlled very quickly and everything comes to normal back again.
Well, good. Yeah, we have our fire season usually. Yeah, it can be in the dry times up here, especially. We actually have had quite a wet winter in Southern California or Northern California too, but so that was a blessing. But the curse is, unfortunately, when there's a lot of great rain, which is great for vegetation, it actually just gives more fuel for the fire when fire season comes in. So It's kind of give and take. But you stay safe down there. And if there's anything we can do to help, reach out and let us know. We are definitely on a mission to heal the world and educate countries and governments all over the world about this miracle plant. And so at the end of every podcast, we say heal the world, because that is the mission, to reach 1 billion people by 2025. So we're going to count to 3 and say heal the world. You can join us if you're listening at home, and we're going to send out that vibration and send out that vibe. So people out there that are looking for a solution, that are looking for a miracle, get educated about this miracle plant and plant-based medicine, and food is our medicine, to take control of your health and incorporate this amazing Garden of Eden plant into your daily diet And so on the count of three, we're going to say heal the world. Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Heal the world.
And I love how you were sitting in there in Spanish, hemp is cáñamo. And so we can make sure that everyone knows that, that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about hemp. We're talking about cáñamo. That is where the CBD, and for us, the raw CBDA comes from, is that cáñamo/hemp. Again, like I said in the intro, this miracle plant with so many names, including cannabisum, is it's here. It's time for people to be educated and to not fear, but to treasure this miracle plant, as we have for 8,000 years in medical journals dating back to the Orient, and 30,000 years we've grown with this plant, tracing it back. So at the end of the day, brother, I'm so happy to have you on. Good luck with everything that's going on down there in Chile. And you know where to find us. And thank you for tuning in. Next week, be back. We'll have another great guest and another great story about this miracle plant. So happy healing and be a blessing, everybody.
Thanks for listening to today's show. To check out more great cannabis podcasts, go to PodConx.com. Here's a preview of one of our other shows.
How do cannabis CEOs balance growth and optimization strategies? What is THCO, Delta-10, and CBNA, and why should you care about these minor cannabinoids? And why isn't the endocannabinoid system covered in medical school? Most people think they're up to date in trends in the cannabis industry, but they're about 6 weeks behind. Learn about what is truly next in the cannabis space by joining myself, Brian Fields, and Kellen Finney every week on the Dime Podcast, and of course, on PodConx.